Hi everyone, welcome to our paramedicine webinar. We're just going to take a couple of minutes to let everybody join us, and then we'll be starting at around 4 p.m. on the dot.
That's been done, Ellen, so.
Thank you everyone for joining us today for our Bachelor of Paramedicine webinar. I can see that we've still got some people joining us this afternoon, but we are just going to get things started. And just to introduce myself, so my name is Ellen Gibson and I work for the Future Students team at the University of Tasmania, and I'm here with my colleague Elizabeth and also Rachel Berry, who's our academic from the Paramedicine team. So yeah, we're really just here to talk to you today and give you an overview about the paramedicine program. I am just going to do a quick acknowledgement of country before we get started. So today we would like to acknowledge the Palawa Pakana of Lutruwita, the traditional owners of the land upon which we live and work. We pay respects to elders past and present as the knowledge holders and sharers. We honour their strong culture and knowledges as vital to the self-determination, well-being and resilience of their communities. And we stand for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal perspectives, culture, language and history. So just to give you a little bit of a rundown as to how the session's going to work today. So we'll cover a little bit about why would you like to study at the University of Tasmania and those kind of key things about the UTAS campuses. Why are we studying paramedicine, those kind of key features, what make our course a little bit different to other universities, the options that we have in terms of the paramedicine programs, and then also fees and scholarships, any support that students might be aware of, how you can apply. And then at the end of the session, we'll actually run a Q&A. So you can probably see on your screen here today, however you're accessing, whether it's through a phone or computer device, you can actually put questions into our Q&A function. So you can put some questions in the chat, but we would really prefer you to put them into the Q&A option. And this basically allows us to kind of filter out any questions. Some of them we might answer to you directly, but then we'd also like to kind of put some questions to myself and Rachel in the session at the end. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. And just a little bit about University of Tasmania, things that you might not be aware about us in general. So we do have an above average student satisfaction rate with 82% satisfaction with teaching quality and engagement compared to the 80% national ranking. We also have incredible strong graduate outcomes. So around 91% of our students gain full-time employment for undergraduate students and 97% for postgrad students. Student support is actually fantastic across all of our campuses, whether it's academic help that you need, a little bit of career guidance, just somebody to talk to. There's always somebody available to kind of chat with you and make sure that you're on the right page and on the right track to achieving what you need to achieve within your course. And if you don't know already, University of Tasmania is #1 university in the world for climate action. And this is something we've been ranked across for the last 4 years. So we're incredibly proud of that. So I'm actually going to hand over to Rachel now, who's going to give you the rundown about the Bachelor of Paramedicine course. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rachel. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with our prospective students. And yeah, I'll let you have the floor.
Thanks, Ellen. I'm very, very happy to be here to talk to our potential students. Obviously, they're the reason that we're here. Paramedicine as a profession has changed a lot over the past decade or so. Why study paramedicine at UTAS? We have really experienced clinicians, and we have really close ties to our industry partners in Ambulance Tasmania and New South Wales Ambulance, because of course we teach paramedicine across the two campuses. One distinctive element of our program is it is a 2-year fast-track degree, which means you study full-time all year. So it is intense. So that's something I really like to preface with. You need to be ready to spend that time and not really have a break over the 2 years, but you do get into that workforce quicker. Same number of units, same number of study hours as a 3-year degree, but we just squish it into 2 years. So you do study over that Christmas, New Year's period. As I said, paramedicine's really changed. So the professional prospects that you have with a paramedicine degree really vary. It's very much removed from that original ambulance driver type role, and really has become more of a clinician health provider for not only those urgent cases where you might think of trauma or something like that, but also a lot of roles within the community and really helping to support a burdened healthcare system. So paramedics work at events, they work obviously with jurisdictional ambulance services, they work in mines. There's a lot of different roles in which paramedics can help the health of the community. It's a 2-year full-time degree, and as I said, it's run in Hobart and Sydney. Next slide, please. As I said, can take you to dynamic areas. You have mine paramedics, you have people that work within the community, much like a nurse practitioner. So sometimes you might be the only point of healthcare for the people in the community, particularly in rural and remote areas where health services are limited. We work in primary healthcare, managing chronic conditions, palliative care, pain management in the community, and you have the expertise to develop your professional career in any of these aspects as well. Once you complete your degree and do your first initial training as a paramedic, there's also a lot of opportunity for growth within the profession itself, becoming an intensive care paramedic, a community paramedic. So there's always somewhere to go with your profession and your degree. Next slide, please. So here's some examples of where our paramedicine graduates work in. Event medics, expedition medicine, and I've also put one in there which is my role, academic or a researcher. As a sort of a new clinical profession, it hasn't really been around for too long. Paramedics have only begun to be registered with AHPRA, which is the national health body, since I think 2018. So we really are just starting to develop as a clinical profession. And so we really need that research done in the pre-hospital space. So very much encouraging any of the people who come to study paramedicine with us to continue on in that academic vein as well. Next slide, please. Obviously, as a paramedic, you're there to provide healthcare at really, really vulnerable moments for the community, whether that is in an accident or urgent care, emergency care environment, or whether it's in their home as a community paramedic. You're really there as their first point of call and a really important point of call for them. So it's a really, really important element of the broader health profession in Australia. 2-year fast-track degree. So you get to, once you finish your 2 years and you've passed all of your units, you will then be registered as a graduate paramedic, and you'll do an internship with the jurisdictional ambulance service just to give you more experience on road before you become a fully fledged paramedic. So you can register once you've finished with AHPRA, which is the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency, which is the agency that oversees a lot of health care in Australia. And we also have an agreement with the Health and Care Professions Council in the UK. So once you've completed your degree, you can register here, or you can go overseas and become a graduate paramedic overseas. Our staff and our academics and our casual tutors, we do have a lot of casual tutors who come in for your practical classes and things, really experienced clinicians with just this wealth of knowledge and understanding of what it's like to be a student, as well as what it's like to be an on-road paramedic. Because we were only began to be registered since 2018, we've got a lot of paramedics that have had to come back and start to study. So they do have a really good understanding of what it's like to be a student, and also how important the role is in the community. So as I said, we have this diverse student cohort, which I think is a real strength of our program. We have those practicing paramedics that have been on road for 40 years and are coming back to do their degree to maintain their registration. We have really strong ties with the Australian Defence Force. So we have a number of Navy and Army medics who are there studying alongside you. And we also obviously have the school leavers who have just come in, people who are changing career paths come in to do paramedicine. So this really great peer learning opportunity, I think, in our degree, because you are all learning alongside each other. So some people will be better at the academic side, and some people obviously have that clinical knowledge. So being able to learn from this diverse cohort is really important. We also have overseas placement opportunities. They're in Europe, Asia, North America. We've just got students who are off in Nepal at the moment, and they're running their clinics. They've just done a big trek in Nepal, and now they're doing community clinics, which are really important for those areas. So you get this diversity of placement opportunities. You could go to the UK for an overseas placement, where you'll be doing your placement in a similar sort of healthcare system to Australia, or you can go to somewhere like Nepal, like Vanuatu, like Timor-Leste, where the health system is very different, and you're learning much different skills to those you would learn in jurisdictional ambulance service. We are Australia's first and currently the only School of Paramedicine. We are about to change, so we've got School of Paramedicine and Public Safety from next year, because we do have police coming into the school as well. So you'll have this cross-discipline teaching as well, which is great. But we're very proud to be first School of Paramedicine in the country. We have interdisciplinary learning opportunities. We have days where you go and you do some scenarios and practical skills with doctors, nursing students and things like that. So that really enriches your education, and also helps you to follow that patient trajectory. Obviously, paramedics are often first point of call, but what happens after that is really important for your growth as well. Next slide, please. In both Hobart and Rozelle, we have simulation is a really important part of our learning. Obviously, that hands-on skills that you'll need have to come from simulation, as well as your placement opportunities. And so we have these purpose-built facilities, both in Rozelle and in Hobart, to sort of give you that idea of what it's like in real life to go into someone's home or into tight spaces and to perform those actions that you need to perform to help that person. Clearly, a big open room where you have easy access to a patient is very different to accessing a patient in a tiny, cramped bathroom. And you never really know what the environment is going to be when you get to see a patient. So being able to mimic those sort of residential living environments is really important. It also allows you, simulations also allow you to have those difficult conversations or make errors, deliver bad news with the supervision and support of the academics around you and your peers as well, of course. So that opportunity to learn in a safe environment is really, really important. It allows our academics to give you real-time feedback as well, those scenario situations. So a really, really important and big part of our program are scenarios. Next slide, please. There's a lot of different student experiences that we have in the degree. Mass casual simulations we have on the Rozelle campus, and I think they're going to be starting in Hobart as well, where you have interaction with fire, police, emergency departments and things like that. So really mimicking something that you may attend when you're a paramedic yourself. Sometimes we go out to helicopter bases to have a look at the helicopters there. Westpac Rescue Helicopter Service is in that picture there. Community education, Restart a Heart Day. Our students are really involved in different aspects of that community education as well. Next slide, thanks. We talked about these overseas placements, US, UK, Nepal, Timor-Leste, Vanuatu. It changes every year, so you don't know what opportunity you're going to get, but really, really valuable for student learning and growth. We're really, really proud of our international placement, and also the ability to give to communities that don't have a lot is really, really important. So alongside our possible international placements, we have professional experience placements with jurisdictional ambulance services. So we have 3 placement units throughout the 2 years. In the first year, you'll have 4 weeks, around 144 hours with either Ambulance Tasmania or New South Wales Ambulance, depending on what campus you're studying from. And that first year, that focus is on communication, professionalism, and that safe practice. And we're beginning to lean into leadership in that first placement. In the second year, you'll have 2 placement units, both around the same time, around 4 weeks. Your second placement unit, so the first one in your second year, is the opportunity where you might go overseas to do an international placement, or you'll stay in a jurisdictional service. And then that second placement in your second year, it's one of our capstone units, where you do 4 weeks with a jurisdictional ambulance service, where you really start to focus on those intermediate and advanced skills and competencies, which allow you to be confident when you move into a graduate paramedic role once you've completed. The domestic placement opportunities, there can be anywhere in Tasmania, anywhere in New South Wales, and obviously we've got those international opportunities as well. We also have 1 week aged care placement in the first year as well, which is obviously a really important aspect of a paramedic's role, because they do make up a large portion of the cases that you will see. Next slide, please. So how do you enter into the Bachelor of Paramedicine? It's a trimester teaching model, so 3 semesters during the 3 study periods during the year. There's 3 different primary entry pathways. You've got direct entry with your ATAR. You can come through a diploma pathway where you do an extra year of study as the diploma, or you can come through as vet or TAFE study for those practicing paramedics that have come back to complete their bachelor degree. Then you do the 2 years of your Bachelor of Paramedicine, and then you can register as a graduate paramedic with ARPA or the HCPC. You do that internship. Depends on the service that you're with as to how long that will be. Maybe 12 months, maybe 18 months, maybe 2 years. It really just depends on the service. And then you become a paramedic. And as I said earlier, the roles and your professional growth is not limited once you've become a paramedic. You can always do extra study, and we have a great postgraduate program here at the university as well for qualified paramedics who want to continue their learning and continue to get promotions and advance their careers. So the Bachelor of Paramedicine itself, as I said, located in Hobart and Sydney. We are a quota course, so we are limited in terms of our standard pathway by placement opportunities. So applicants are ranked by academic merit, and offers are made based on the number of places available. Excuse me. Currently in Hobart, I think it's about 60 places, and in Sydney it's about 120. The Hobart places also have another caveat to them, in that 75% of those places will be offered first to Tasmanian students. So we're really trying to support the growth of our Tasmanian population in this area. is a Commonwealth supported program, and the course involves a combination of placements, work integrated learning, and these simulated learning experiences. Generally, each semester you'll have a couple of units that are primarily online and a couple of units that have really a lot of on-campus time and that practical experience. So it's this sort of blended learning model. And we have those interprofessional learning opportunities with workshops with medicine and nursing as well, just to really create that interdisciplinary environment that you'll be working in if you become a paramedic in the end. Next slide, please. The minimum ATAR for standard entry is 75, but that is obviously dependent on the applications that we get. And the lowest ATAR may change from year to year based on the number of applications and the strength of those applications. Applicants are ranked by ATAR and the offers are made based on that, apart from in Hobart where we have that 75% Tasmanian student cohort. For domestic applicants, you must have completed a diploma of, no, it's not a diploma of nursing, it's a diploma of paramedical science or a diploma of emergency healthcare. So that's for those students who are practicing paramedics. Then they can come in and do our standard pathway with a few caveats as well. As I said, it's all competitive entry. Next slide, please. So if you do apply through the standard pathway and you are unsuccessful, your second choice is to apply for the Diploma of University Studies. In saying that, if you haven't studied for a long time, the Diploma of University Studies pathway is a really good pathway regardless to get you back into that university and that study lifestyle. So I really do recommend it for those who maybe have had quite a gap between their last studies. So it's 1 year, and you can, what it has 4 paramedicine specific units, and you'll do all of those units plus 4 generic Diploma of University Studies units, and then you'll be entered into the standard paramedicine degree, and those units will be credited. So you'll be studying alongside students who are undertaking the Bachelor of Paramedicine, and then the next year you'll have a lighter load with that. There's still entry quotas for the foundation studies because, of course, we're limited by our placements, but it's a really great avenue for those students who are unsuccessful or who haven't studied for quite a while. If you're interested in biosciences, medicine and healthcare, applied sciences, if you're interested in communication, problem solving, public health, paramedicine could be a good fit for you. Really, the type of people that undertake paramedicine is unlimited. We get such a broad range of people, so it's not really limited to personality type or anything like that. It's just if you've got a real interest in helping people, I think, and promoting health in the community. Such an important role, and it's just growing. And I've said this a couple of times. You know, it's a really exciting time to be a part of paramedicine education because there's changes being made all the time, and there's just so much opportunity in this field at the moment. So any of those things, if any of those things interest you, then paramedicine might be the way for you. So these are some frequently asked questions. Can you study part-time? We don't have a part-time option for the standard pathway. It's full-time, and it's also considered an on-campus degree. So while a couple of your units might be online units, it is still an on-campus degree. So you will have on-campus requirements in each study period. For the conversion pathway, which is for those either ADF, so Defence Force applicants, or practicing paramedic applicants, it is a part-time online degree, and that's because the practical components are considered part of their job, so they don't need to come on campus to do those practical components. The diploma doesn't offer a guaranteed pathway into the Bachelor of Paramedicine. It still is ranked. but it really is a good baseline and a good entry point regardless. You don't need a driver's license to do the Bachelor of Paramedicine, but you will need a driver's license to register as a graduate paramedic. So this is something that you must consider, and we've had times where people have completed their degree but don't have a driver's license, so then can't register with a jurisdictional service. You can still register with AHPRA, but you may not be able to get that internship role. So do consider that when you're planning out your pathway and your study, making sure that, I would say by the time you're due to graduate, you've off your P's and you have a full license, just to help that transition into practice. And we are accredited with AHPRA and HCPC. Do I have to do clinical placement? Absolutely. It's mandatory. It's also such an important part of the degree. As great as simulations are, they are never going to replace that real life interactions that you have with patients. So really important part. Our students really love it. It's where they get to cement all of the learnings that they've had throughout the degree. You obviously need to comply with local jurisdictional health and vaccination requirements, and that will change depending on which service you're doing your clinical placement with. And also something to note are where the placements are. So they can be taken anywhere in the state in which you're studying. And we don't have great control over that. It really does depend on the jurisdictional service. So generally, you'll have a rotation of 3 placement areas, I guess. So metro, outside metro, and then rural. And so you will probably be placed at one of those for each of your placements throughout the degree. So there is a cost associated with placements, and I think that's really important to mention, that the supports for paramedicine students on placement are limited. We do have some avenues for support for accommodation and things, but it is limited at the moment. So it's really something to think about. Also something to think about in terms of responsibilities at home, whether you can move outside of that space. Of course, there is some capacity for making adjustments based on extenuating circumstances, but just something to think about when you are applying. And when you complete your degree, one thing that we really do pride ourselves on is not teaching to guidelines, and perhaps having our 2 campuses that we teach paramedicine on helps with this. We really do teach to best practice and what the evidence suggests, because we believe that giving you that foundational knowledge of best practice means that it doesn't matter where you go and what those guidelines are, you will be able to implement those guidelines. So once you complete your degree, you're not limited to staying in Tasmania, not limited to staying in New South Wales. You can go anywhere across Australia. You could go to the UK. We have people going to Canada, New Zealand. So there's a lot of places that you can go when you complete your degree. And that's because of the foundational knowledge that you're given throughout the degree. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I might just take a minute there to see if there's anything else that you wanted to add on top of what we've spoken about. But yeah, I think that's such an important aspect of everything that students need to know, that their degree is transferable, and they can kind of go all over the place really with the program at UTAS. So yeah,
we're really proud of that. It's a very unlimited. It's unlimited in the profession, and it's unlimited by location, which is really great. For our placements, I will just add that we have really strong supports for our placement when students go on placement. So you have support within the jurisdictional service that you're doing your placement with. You've got support from the school. So we have a dedicated placement coordinator who is available 24 hours a day while you're on placement. And we also have the broader, obviously, university supports as well. I think that's something that's really important. You don't know what you're going to go to when you go on placement, that we have no control over that, but we do have lots of strong supports for those sorts of things. So I just think that's another important thing to note.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you, Rachel.
All right.
I'm going to talk a little bit now about the support that's available to students at UTAS and any kind of help that you might need, either prior to coming to study with us or through the duration of your studies. And then once we've kind of gone through these next few slides, we'll then move on to our Q&A section of the webinar. So yeah, essentially what support is available to students at UTAS? Well, we have lots of different support available to you, depending, basically every kind of option that's listed here is available for you at any campus that you're studying at. So in terms of study support, we have our peer-assisted study sessions, and this is really where you can almost buddy up with another student who might be a year or two ahead of you, and you can actually do sessions with another student to kind of help you through any specific units that you're working on, or whether it's a specific assessment, they can kind of help you from a previous perspective. We also have student advisors, and these are student advisors that are based within, like it would be for this course, within the School of Paramedicine or within health in general. So these team members really have the kind of knowledge about the course that you're enrolled in, essentially. We have learning workshops as well. So this is as part of your program. You'll do specific learning workshops or with student advisors around certain areas. So whether that's referencing or an extra biomed class, any of those kind of things, they can kind of put on that extra support for you. And we have online 24-hour study support as well. So this is all accessible through the Milo system, where you can access all of your course content. You can actually access the chat function and ask any questions 24 hours. And in terms of career guidance, so we have our Career Connect service where you can be involved in that process. You can also apply for student jobs. So we actually, especially at the Sydney campus, we have quite a large student ambassador program. So you can actually work as a student ambassador if you can fit it around your studies to kind of get a little bit of extra work onto your CV, but also an extra bit of financial support is helpful too. And you can also connect with mentors and professional associations through the course that you're currently studying. There's also a lot of volunteering opportunities, and a lot of that is provided through the Student Union Association. I know that especially in Sydney, the Paramedic Society, they have quite a lot of different volunteering options for students that are based there. So lots of things to keep you busy alongside your studies. Now, in terms of counselling and student wellbeing, this is also another aspect of things that we are really passionate about. We want to make sure that our students are supported throughout every aspect of their learning. So we do have confidential and professional counsellors available on campus. You can either book an online appointment, or you can just go and knock on the door of this counsellors on campus if they're available to talk to you. But this is a free service that's available to all students. And it can be help with academic side of things, mental health, personal things, whatever you prefer, or if you just want somebody to chat to on the day, you can obviously do that as well. And in terms of costs, so the way that our courses are priced up is by unit, so each subject. So the total cost does vary between each courses, is based on the unit choice that you're enrolled in, and it's listed on our course and unit handbook. So you pay a course and unit, a unit fee, and then also what's called a student services and amenities fee as well per study period. All of our undergraduate degrees have Commonwealth supported places for domestic students, and you can get a HEX help loan to cover fees, which you then pay back once you're earning over a certain amount. We also have a lot of scholarships available for students, especially if you are studying in Tasmania. There is a lot of scholarships and support available, especially if you're relocating from a certain area of Tasmania to go and live in Hobart or in Sydney, etc. There is the option to get some relocation assistance too. And how to apply for scholarships. So you can actually do that through our scholarships portal. But I would advise, if you haven't applied for them already, you might want to do it today because they do close tomorrow for scholarships. So might maybe have a look at those this evening or tomorrow. And how to apply. So if you haven't applied already, I imagine most people here will have probably applied for their place for 2026 already, but you can apply online through our application portal, and the application is completely free. Once you have found out whether you've received an offer or not, we will actually send you an offer letter via the application portal to let you know if there's any conditions or any information about your offer. And then once you have received your offer, you do have a limited time to accept that offer. And I think it will say that in the offer letter. Then once you've accepted your offer, it'll take a few weeks. You'll be admitted into our system, and then you can enroll into your units. Well, we're actually at the final section of our webinar now. So I will just pause for a couple of seconds just to see if anyone wants to put any more questions in the chat. I can see that we do have a few in there, but I might just pause just to see if Rachel wants to add anything before we move on to this Q&A section.
No, I think you covered everything very well.
Thank you.
And I'm keen to see the questions that people have.
Fantastic.
Would you like me to read some of them out?
Yeah, that would be great.
Thanks,
okay.
Elizabeth.
So I have answered a couple, but there was a question about whether the placements are done with New South Wales Ambulance and Tas Ambulance, or are they with other external providers? I did mention that most of them are done with New South Wales and Tasmania, except for perhaps the aged care placement. So if Rachel wants to add anything.
Yep, that's exactly right. So any domestic placement in the normal placement block, so the 4-week blocks, are done with either New South Wales Ambulance or Ambulance Tasmania. And our aged care placement, it goes across many different aged care facilities across both New South Wales and Tasmania as well. And then, of course, we have different providers for our international placement, but primarily placement is with New South Wales Ambulance and Ambulance Tasmania.
And I think what you've just said probably covers the other question about how the placements actually work. So I think that kind of covers that. The next question is, how many people apply each year out of curiosity? Do we have a rough number?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's in the hundreds. We have a lot of applicants. Yeah, we have a lot of applicants. I think obviously the attraction of a 2-year fast track degree pulls a lot of people in, as well as the quality. You know, University of Tasmania is really known for quality teaching. So we have a lot of applicants. Well, that's one of the reasons we brought in the 75% Tasmanian cohort for the Hobart students. And this is the first year that we've implemented that, so we're really keen to see what percentage of our students actually are based in Tasmania, because I think it's a really important, it's an important aspect of the health system that we're trying to improve, and keeping enrolments in the state is important. Obviously, in New South Wales, we don't have a 75% Tasmanian quota, so it's free for everyone in New South Wales.
Great. The next question is around when offers will be sent out, and I think that's kind of a too-big question, which I'm sure Ellen will add to, but it will depend on whether you're a Year 12 applicant or whether you're a adult learner applicant.
Yeah, I think I will just add to that. So yeah, essentially, I believe some offers for non-school leavers have already gone out, and essentially offers will be sent in rounds until the end of the year to non-school leavers until we fill the amount of places that that we will be taking for non-school leavers at both the Hobart and the Sydney campus. And then students who are applying straight out of high school, year 12s, we will be waiting on your ATAR results to then provide you with offers. And as we have mentioned, it is a competitive process. So students are ranked based on their ATAR, and then offers are sent out to those students that have the highest ATAR within that list of students. And then again, students have a certain amount of days to accept their offer. If they don't accept their offer, then we kind of move further down the list to provide other students with offers to kind of give them that opportunity.
Perfect. The next question is around whether the Sydney campus or the Tasmanian campus might be a more competitive entry, which I feel Rachel has touched on with the change in Hobart, but if you'd like to add anything else to that.
History will show that Sydney has a higher ATAR, not by much in recent years, but that may change with the 75% quota. Sydney also has twice as many places, and it also has other universities as opportunity. So whilst it is competitive and may have a higher ATAR, there's more competition for students' attention and their enrolment. Yeah, I think I would say that on both campuses, it's competitive. We have always had more applicants than we have places because we are really limited depending on our placement. If we could just have everyone in and we could put everyone on placement, we would do that. But yeah, we are very limited.
Yeah, and I would just to add on the ATAR piece, the minimum ATAR was mentioned. However, we do tell students that are in that year 12 cohort to aim for a higher ATAR if possible because it is so competitive. So, and as Ellen has mentioned, it does go down in a kind of tiered system of the highest ranked ATARs
Yeah,
to
that's right.
the ones below. The next question is roughly how many days on campus might you be per week?
So it definitely depends on the semester. It would normally be at least 2, but then again, sometimes we have to do block teaching around placement because, of course, we have to try and teach around those placement blocks. And so then you might have weeks where you have to be on campus 4 days a week. So it really does depend on the semester. I will say that there's probably less on-campus requirement in the first year, and then it really does ramp up after that.
Yeah, I might also add with placements as well, you will need that time probably off work in terms of you will
Definitely.
work an ambulance roster. So therefore, you will need to be able to speak to your employers about time off.
Yeah, that's right. The ambulance roster is normally 4 days on, 4 days off, 12-hour shifts. You could be working days, afternoons, evenings. So yeah, it's really important, and it's really important. I know we need to work, like students need to work because like life is expensive. But I think when you're, especially a 2-year fast track degree where you don't have that time off, you really need to prioritize study and the requirements of study for those 2 years, because it's big, it's exhausting. I'm not going to lie, it's exhausting to study for 2 years without any breaks and then have placement in there on top of that. So there are some choices, I guess, that you have to make in terms of, and planning, planning as much as you can is really important.
Great. I'm just going to take a question from the chat because it's been there for a while, and then I'll go back to the Q&A. Could you further elaborate on the ADF pathway? Do you need to be a medic to apply, or can you apply regardless?
You do need to, for what we call it the conversion pathway, and that is specifically for either ADF medics or practicing paramedics. And you do need to be working in those roles in order to be eligible for that pathway. And that's because the conversion pathway, it takes out that practical component. So you don't do placement if you're in the conversion pathway, because your job inherently has that placement component in it as part of the job. You're welcome to apply it through the standard. Anyone's welcome to apply through the standard pathway.
Ellen, I've got one here for you. The UTAS paramedicine course isn't on UAC. Can you advise how to apply, please?
Yeah, of course. So our courses are not actually listed on UAC, even though you would be applying to study in New South Wales if you're applying for the Sydney campus, of course. All of our applications for all UTAS courses is just direct application on our website. It's utas.edu.au, and then you can just access the application directly through there, and it's free. So there's no applications through UAC.
Perfect. The next one is probably targeted towards you again, Ellen, but I'm sure Rachel could answer it. If I already have a bachelor's degree in PDHPE secondary education, am I eligible to apply?
Of course, definitely. We definitely have students who are looking to do career changes. So they might have a bachelor's degree in anything. It could be a health science degree, an education degree. Like you've mentioned, we've even had students who have actually, been a lawyer and had a law degree, and they've worked as a lawyer for 10 years, and then they've decided to do a career change. So you can definitely apply. Essentially, you'll be ranked based on your GPA. So obviously, if you will be ranked against however many students apply that have previous undergrad education, but you'll be ranked based on your GPA for that one.
Great. The next one is, what semesters are placements in the first and second year?
So for your first year, placement is in study period 3. So that's over the Christmas New Year's period. And your second year, they're in semester 2 and again in study period 3. So study period 3 is a big one for us for placement, and you could be going on placement over that Christmas New Year's period, depending on what we have from our providers at the time.
Thank you. Another one, for school leavers, should you wait to apply until you have your ATAR, or should you be applying now?
Definitely apply now.
Yeah.
There is actually a first round deadline of the 30th of September, which obviously has gone past. That's not to say that your application won't be assessed, but it'll just be in the second round of applications that will be assessed once your ATAR comes out. So definitely complete your application today. It's a really straightforward process. It's very simple. I recently completed an application myself for a grad cert, so I know myself that it can literally take less than 10 minutes to complete the application. And as we've mentioned, it's free and direct on the website, so super easy.
We can also assist you with that process as well if you need further help.
I think we've got another one. It was just, this is probably more for Rachel. I think it was a question that just went through, and it was just, could we go into a little bit more detail about the internship process after graduating and how that works?
Sure. So that is all dictated by the jurisdictional service that you apply for work. So basically, once you've completed your degree, we send off, once you've done all of your subjects and we have results for your subjects, we send off a list to APRA to say, okay, you've completed the degree and you can be registered as a graduate paramedic. And then you will apply for employment, basically, with different jurisdictional services. Sometimes you have to apply for employment before you complete your degree, but that's fine. We have letters of support for those students to support their application, and then the application will be assessed once the degree is completely completed. Generally, you'll apply for the job, you'll have an interview with that jurisdictional service, and then basically if you get the job, you're an intern paramedic, and it'll depend on the service that you're with as to how long that internship goes for. And it does come with, it's basically like on-road studying. So you're learning on-road, and then you will have exams and assessments from the ambulance service themselves. And that will often be around, like, you have to learn their guidelines. So because we don't teach to guidelines, but the internship year is where you're able to have a look at the guidelines, show your skills, and they will be developing, of course, like any degree. You don't finish your degree as a paramedic. You don't finish any, I don't think you finish any degree as it, the end point of your profession. You then have to learn as you're working, and the same goes for paramedicine. So you'll be learning and doing assessments with that jurisdictional service, and then once you've completed that and they have determined you to be competent, then you'll be changed to a paramedic.
There's another question here about, do we need to get our medium ridge license to drive the ambulances, New South Wales specifically?
I think so, yes. So if I remember correctly, because I just had a look at this recently, because we did have a student who was due to graduate and didn't have their license. So you definitely need to be off your Ps for your car license for New South Wales Ambulance. And then I'm pretty sure that the application process says that you are able to get your heavy rigid license within a year, perhaps, of starting the job. So you don't have to have it before you start working as an intern, but you need to have the capacity to complete that, to do the driving of the ambulance. It's probably different for each jurisdictional service. So when you're thinking about that, just make sure you go onto the services website. They will have all the details of their application process for internships.
And sorry, I answered one before, which I thought was referring to placements, but is the internship paid? So placements are not paid, but is the internship paid, which is obviously through the ambulance service. So
yeah, so it's just a job. It's just the first years of the job, like you're on probation, basically for the first year, a year and a half.
Another question for Ellen. Are there any scholarships specific to New South Wales for paramedicine?
There definitely are some. There isn't many. Essentially, the best route is, if you're looking to apply for a scholarship as a student in New South Wales looking to study at the Sydney campus, the best option really is to filter the scholarships portal when you're creating your account and searching for scholarships. You can actually filter it to the Sydney campus and to the course that you're interested in, and then any specific requirements that you might have. So whether you're an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander student, or if there's anything, any other kind of things that might make you eligible for a scholarship, then you can include that. And there will be a list of scholarships that you can apply for sure.
I've got another couple here. Does it cost more because it's over 2 years?
Does it? No.
Cost more than a standard bachelor's degree, I think, is what the question is. Yeah.
No, I think that whilst it's over 2 years, so if you think of a standard bachelor's degree, that's 3 years, you'll still do 6 semesters in those 3 years. And in the 2-year fast track, it's just 6 semesters over 2 years. And as Ellen said, it's paid per unit. So you do, most of the units in a bachelor's degree are worth 12.5 percentage points, and it's the same for paramedicine. So you'll do 12.5% points in a semester. So no, it doesn't cost more than if it was over 3 years.
Fantastic. And is there only one intake per year, or is there multiple?
No, we have one intake per year.
Thank you very much. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. And we'll just wait a couple of minutes. But if nobody has any other questions, we will send you the recording of the session today. We really obviously appreciate everyone joining us. And thank you, obviously, Rachel, for joining, and for Elizabeth for your help as well. I don't think we haven't got any more questions coming through. So hopefully that's a good sign. That means that we've answered
Great.
everything that we need
Excellent.
to. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. As I mentioned, we will send you all the recording so you can look back on this session. If you do need any help over the next couple of months or you have any questions, you can contact our team directly at future.students@utas.edu.au, and we can kind of help you with any other questions. And if you haven't completed your application yet for paramedicine, we would really advise you to complete it as soon as possible. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.